putting in work. Work, yeah. Putting in work. I thank God for the favor when the money come. Half for the time, tax fees, and sufficient funds. What I gotta do to get ahead, I'm on to something. What I gotta do to get.
Welcome to the Modern Sports Show, home of your college athlete, where we're player-led and player-focused. I'm Kory, and today we are back with a part 2.
Yeah.
Like I said on the part 1, we had some technical errors, some sound issues, so we're back today, and I'm really thankful that you came back, because I know I hate doing this. I really do, because it kind of, disrupt the whole vibe. But today we should get some good stuff in. Now, last time you were saying we kind of ended off on the psyche of what it was like running at LSU and kind of how you mentally prepared yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Today, though, I don't want to be too repetitive. I kind of want to, I guess, explore some different lanes and stuff. So, can we go back to what it was like when you first, when your parents first dropped you off at LSU as a freshman? Kind of what was your mindset, and were you scared? Were you worried? Do you feel like you're prepared?
I was really excited. And so just running track my whole life, I knew LSU was like that school, especially for track. So I was really excited to get to know the team and just be in an atmosphere where like everyone is like great, literally. And so I competed against one of my roommates for like years, pretty much like all up until that point. But the other roommate, it was my first time meeting her and getting to know her. So we all just like meshed and blended.
Yeah.
I know the biggest thing I remember is like once my parents left, so like they helped me move in and everything. Once they left, I just sat there like, dang, like I'm really on my own now.
Yeah.
I like left the apartment and like went to get some cookies or something, and I was like, I didn't have to tell anyone that I was leaving, because like, growing up, so I was like, hey mom, I'm about to go do this, or dad, about to do this, or you like ask for their permission, but you just like leave and it's like no one's there. So I know that was like the biggest thing I remember as far as like that first day moving in. But yeah, I was just really excited. I wasn't scared or worried or anything, just more excitement.
Did so like at, and this is kind of a question that I thought of just going based on I guess us sitting down the first time. What was like Baton Rouge like outside of the school? Did you get outside and explore the community?
I'll be honest, like Baton Rouge is like the trenches. It's like LSU, the school is nice, and then like right down the street is like you in the whole, you're not on campus no more.
Right.
So they're really I really didn't start getting to explore. I worked at a coffee shop. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but that's where I made some friends who like born in Baton Rouge. Obviously, like they don't know much about sports, like they weren't athletes and stuff, and so they kind of introduced me to a lot of the like culture stuff. And of course, some of my teammates were from there, but just being athletes is kind of like everything centered around sports. So it was refreshing having that environment. I know I got into going to like some parks. I've gone to New Orleans. We went to New Orleans a few times. Now, when I'm with the team, we don't really know what we're doing, but going with people who are like from there, it's like a different experience. But yeah, LSU also, the university alone also makes you feel like it feels like family. So I didn't really have to go outside much to get that experience, because LSU, the campus like had everything, but it was cool to also have that other perspective. So
like in your trips going to New Orleans, because I actually just sat down with Malachi Preciado, I think I'm saying his name right, but he's a offensive lineman at South Alabama, and he's from New Orleans.
I want to say that last name.
Exactly, right? I told him that. I said, you got one of them last names. And so, that for my viewers, he'll be coming out next week probably.
Oh, cool.
But anyhow, he's from New Orleans, and so with you, I don't know how much time you may, or how many times you may have went to New Orleans, but I guess what are some differences between Baton Rouge and New Orleans?
That's a good question. So I can't do no examples of this, but like the accent, like
okay.
And I kind of don't even remember now, but I do remember when I was there, I started to notice the different accents. So there's like Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and then Lafayette.
Okay.
And so I started to notice a little difference in that. But other than that, they seem like pretty similar to me. Food was the same. Love the food. Yeah. I'm sure if I like tried to notice more stuff, I'd be able to pick it up. But it kind of seems obviously New Orleans like way bigger.
Okay,
but
is it? I didn't, because like I said, I've never been to LSU, so I'm not quite familiar with how big Baton Rouge is or LSU, the school.
It's really like I just would always say like no disrespect anyway, but like LSU, like if LSU was not in Baton Rouge, like.
It probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But you know something I noticed, that is a lot of college towns.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, like I think that's Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I think that's Starkville with Mississippi State.
I want to say Tallahassee. That's FSU.
Yeah.
Tallahassee.
I feel like
that's facts.
That's kind of like, I feel like there are maybe a few colleges like UCF, Orlando, maybe USF, Tampa. I'm just thinking
UAB.
Yeah, UAB. Mm-hmm. I think Kentucky, because Lexington is kind of like a little bit smaller than Birmingham, but I do feel like there's a few. So, but just going back to the track element, when did you start to become, I guess, more confident being in college and competing against your teammates or track mates, and then also competing in actual meets?
So my sophomore year, I ran the 4x4, and like my time was like 3 seconds faster than high school, and I felt like I was running like very like effortlessly. So when they told me my time, I was like, my split, I was like, what? And that right there, like, it's kind of like my mind was like, wow, because I never disliked 400 hurdles. I know everyone's like, what? It's the hardest event, but like I never disliked them. I always liked the idea like doing, if you're able to be competitive more events, like that's good, because if you just base it on, if you just do one event, like anything can happen in that event and then you're done. So I like that idea, but I did not have confidence in like the 400 at all. So when I found out that I ran that split, I was like, wow, I was like, I can do 400 hurdles now.
Yeah.
And that year, I had like a highlight moment of was that? No, that wasn't even a sophomore year. So the rest of that year, sophomore year, it wasn't good because I started adding on training and like my body wasn't holding it well and stuff. But I still had that spark from like indoor of that year. So the next year we switched some things up, some training plans and stuff. And while like not a lot of people knew that I technically started 400 hurdles at my sophomore year, I just like was terrible at it, even though I did run like that split time, but it wasn't translating. So that next year I didn't do 400 hurdles until right before conference. And so essentially it's like, oh, she just popped out and did an event. But to me, I was like, well, technically kind of last year I did some races. I just was in the back that no one really noticed. And so but doing that, it was like it's like I turned a whole different leaf. Like I just started understanding, then I started getting more confidence. And at SEC's, that was my junior year, I got second, but everyone was just like, wow, like you just switched events to that. So it was like, it's like in a sense, like I see what y'all saying, but y'all give me a little too much credit, but I'll take it though. I'll take it. But I'll say at that point, and even looking back, I'm like my freshman year, like I made it to nationals as a freshman, which is like really good. But I just didn't really feel like, like, you know, and I remember seeing my teammates getting highlighted during the SEC week and like doing interviews, and I was just like, man, that would be cool, but like I'm not even close to there. Then to my junior year, it's like I'm getting highlighted, and I'm like, wow.
Right, the progression.
Yeah. So that's I'll definitely say those.
So I think that's you pointed out something interesting when you mentioned like you being explosive and I guess cutting those 3 seconds down off your time.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say from a training standpoint? What are some things that you implemented that kind of like made that possible?
So, I don't know. I'm just gonna explain all yours because I don't know what is that. So when I ran the 4x4 indoor relay, and my time was like 3 seconds faster than high school. That I think the only difference was in high school I could have ran faster. I just didn't know. Okay. The 400 is like you have to. It's one lap for people that don't know what 400 is. You have to get out aggressive and fast. But people think since it's a lap, you got to pace yourself. So as long as you get out, and you're going to be tired.
Regardless.
So if you get out real slow, you're just going to get slower. And so some people are too scared to get out fast. I think in college, first I was on a relay, heat of the moment, and I just got out fast, like not even knowing, and just held on. And that's what I feel like the only difference was. So really the main thing that taught me was that in high school, I shouldn't have been as scared. I should have just got out. I probably ran a little bit faster. But for my sophomore to junior year of 400 hurdles, athletes train differently. And like some 400 runners, they need heavy endurance. Some need heavy speed. It just all depends on that. For me, I feel like I was the person who I really need speed because although I do 100 hurdles is short, my turnover isn't as fast as like a sprinter, right? And so I have hard, I push myself this and that. So the 400 is kind of just like a gut race. So if you can run fast, if you got speed, you can do the 400. So just switching up training with that. And also my junior year, I thought I was actually done with 400 hurdles, but before conference, my coach was like, hey, like, we could use some points. He was like, you can, because our conference was weak in that event. So he was like, you don't even got to train. Like, you can just hop on there and like make finals. And I'm trying to win. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, if this can help you win, that's fine. I'm only doing one event anyway. So yeah. And then, so I did one race before conference, and that race I got to like US number 6. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm staying with this. Like, I know he said, like, just run it for conference. And then it's funny because he actually came to me and he was like, you staying with this. And I was like, yeah, I know I'm staying with this.
That's good.
Because it's like the short hurdles, I was like, probably like 15th in the country at this point. So, yeah. So I kind of think that was good. And it was also healthy for my mindset because sometimes when you overthink something, it kind of you can work against yourself. So the fact that literally the whole year I wasn't even thinking about 400 hurdles. I was just like, oh, let's do it. All right, let's do it. And then
So I mean, what is, now you touched on some of it, but like, I guess with the 400 hurdles, like how is it, like, how does it work? How far are the hurdles apart?
Ooh, I should know this. But there's 10 hurdles. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. It's probably like every 6 meters, every 5 or 6 meters to try to fit it around. Yeah. Maybe.
See, I didn't realize it was that many hurdles. I thought it was a little less. Like,
that seems like a lot, but it really isn't that much. Like, it's probably like 2 hurdles per 100 meters. Like 2 to 3 per 100 meters. I should have broken it down like that. Yeah.
And I mean, could your body feel like a toll from an endurance standpoint, like versus the 100 hurdles?
Oh yeah. So the thing I like about 400 hurdles is that, hear me out. You don't have to have as much talent as other events. Well, I'll just say the 400. You just have to have like the heart and the will, because the 100, if you don't have that quick turnover and you're not quick, it's no amount of practice you can do. It's no amount of nothing you can do. Like, you just don't got it. But that 400, you really can work yourself into being like better. And so for the 100 hurdles, I didn't have that turnover that a lot of the other hurdlers and sprinters had.
Okay.
To be able to be quick and choppy.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I couldn't really control the race as much. But 400 hurdles, you can. Look, when you're tired, push harder. Like, you know, and there's not an opportunity for that in the short hurdles. It's literally just like quick technique, boom, as fast as you can go. Yeah. That's it. But 400 hurdles, it's like you really can think, you really can push yourself, you can gauge, you got to be smart about where you're at, all those things. So that's why, you know, it's obviously harder, but I think there's way more possibility in the longer hurdles.
Okay. Now, transition. I won't beat a dead horse because we talked a lot about you at LSU in the prior episode that we didn't get a chance to capture. But the one thing I noticed, if you all go to her YouTube channel, she has a lot of stuff, a lot of content.
Yeah.
I feel like while you were actually in it, so it might be a little bit more engaging than just sitting down. Mm-hmm. So I want to move on to after college though and transition into you and coaching. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we touched on that a lot last time. So this time I want to ask, just, you know, after you graduate college, how did you know you wanted to get into coaching?
So even while I was in college, I helped train like the younger athletes in hurdles because in Alabama it's not many like hurdle coaches.
Okay.
And it's so like me, like even though I probably like even my senior year in high school, it was some younger kids that wanted to do hurdles, and like I had a hurdle coach in high school, but she didn't do summer track coaching, so I would just help the stuff I knew, like I would just start teaching them. And so another thing about hurdles, like I said, is like there's so much room for improvement because you have 10 hurdles. So if you're making a mistake over like just the amount of time you're spending making the mistake over one hurdle, you got to multiply that by 10. So if you're jumping too high, we'll just say that's like half a second. Is probably less than that. So you do half a second times 10. That's how much time you can take off of your whole time because you're doing that each time. So I like the like wow moment the athletes get when they fix something or like when their time just drops so much. So I do like the other. I don't think I explained, but yeah, I kind of knew that like coaching is probably like I'm gonna be doing it, personal training, just because it's a need to have that.
I do think especially like in these parts because like track, like I said, we talked on it or touched on it some last time. Track is not really. I don't feel like that big in Alabama as it is in Texas and Florida. And even Kansas in the Midwest. I know they're really big on track. So
it's not as big here.
How did you go about? I mean, obviously it's the Hoover Connection, but like when you got back settled, I guess in this part, how did you know you wanted to go back to Hoover?
So Marlon, my brother, he actually was already coaching for Hoover in his off season. So he'd come back home and he would just pick back up coaching with the athletes and stuff. And so when I came back home, I feel like there was maybe on a break, I came to practice, but then I came back and he was really on his way out. And so the head coach was not the coach that coached me. But the new head coach, he was like, hey, what you think about, coming over doing? And I'm like, yeah. So
the opportunity was kind of there for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I guess I'll because I'm curious about this too. What was your mentality like when you were done with track? Like, as athletes, as D1 athletes, we're kind of like in an intense mindset all the time. And so did you deal with maybe depression? Did you deal with anything mentally that, kind of, I guess, may have put you in a dark place? Was it hard to adjust?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know, like, so I graduated 2021, like spring. My last track meet was Olympic trials in June. And so my mindset through all of this was I wasn't pressed about running pro. Like if the opportunity was there, that would be fine. If it wasn't, that'll be fine. But I just wanted to be sure. Like I didn't want to be holding on when I need to let go. Okay. And the way my season ended, like my nationals, and they were both nationals and Olympic trials in Oregon. Both of those two events, like I ran so bad, like it was so bad, and so that really messed with me because essentially I was like, this is probably my last time running, last time on the track. Okay. I've already had like a pretty like decent year. I won SECs. If I can just like run that time, like I'll do well. I didn't even run that time. Like I ran slower, and so that mentally, and this whole time, like my whole career, I'm able to like look at races, like get my splits, whatever, talk to my coaches and figure out what went wrong. I still like do not know what went wrong. Okay. Well, at the time, now going back thinking about it, it was certain stuff in my training that I didn't capitalize on, and like I didn't run as many races. COVID didn't give the seniors their indoor season back, so like you didn't do all indoor. Of us, we didn't do indoor, right. And it took like when I tell you, I was literally just like, what happened? Like it just was so weird. Like it just was so weird. But looking back, I looked at some of the other people in my position, and it was the same way. I was like, maybe like that was it. But so that along, it just would replay in my mind. Like, man, like are you like why? Like what happened? So I would say, I wouldn't say depressed, but I would say I could not let go of the situation. Like I just really wanted to know like what happened, why it happened. And although I knew I had so much potential left, because so this is like after COVID, 2021, 2019, that was my junior year when I got second at SECs and I went on to get third at nationals. Okay. My time then was faster than what I ran like in 2021. It was close, but was faster. So, and even from that time, I knew I had like so much more in the tank. So I'm like, you really have so much more. And so I was talking to my parents, like, should I try to get on the pro circuit and like, you know, just see what I have left? And they're saying like, you know, you don't want to not do it and then look back and wish you did. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know is that in the fall, I trained to be on the professional circuit. And during this time, it's like, it's not that I'm doubting if I should do this, but I'm just kind of like, what's the bigger picture? Like, and that's when I decided that the opportunity of what I really wanted, which is to capitalize completely on my collegiate career, like that is gone. So even if I run professional, even if I make these teams, USA's, Olympics, what I'm trying to get is back there. And so if that makes sense, like the moment I was trying to get back to, it was already gone. And so I got hurt Thanksgiving, like break. And so I was just doing PT. And during that, it's like, do I really want to do this? Like, am I just trying to hold up? Like, what's really going on? And so a little bit after Thanksgiving, December, kind of in my head, I'm like, I don't want to do this.
This is 2021?
Yeah, 2024. I don't want to do this. But since I never made it to, because competition indoor starts like end of January, February, all that. So I never made it to actually compete in a pro race. Okay. And with track, you don't have to have a contract or like be signed to like enter in professional meets. Okay. So literally you could start training and like you could enter from me, right? So no one even knew that because I basically stopped before it got to that point. Okay. But yeah, I just had to settle and be like, let's go ahead and start getting into all the stuff we missed doing track, all your other areas. I'm like extremely creative, and so tapping in like more videoing. I know I mentioned the children's book, which is out now. Read a children's book, and I got really deep into ministry and working at my church and doing stuff like that, traveling. So to answer your question, the biggest thing was just like that what happened. I couldn't really let go of it, but through time and just kind of like thinking and processing, it kind of just like, yeah, we good.
It was a smooth transition.
Yeah, I think compared to like a lot of other situations that I know of, I would say mine was really smooth. Fearless move. And again, I mentioned before, that was because I was like prepared for it to be over, and also throughout like my whole athletic career, I always made time for like other things that I enjoyed doing. Right, it wasn't just like this is literally it. Yeah. So also that helps out.
And that was that's similar to me in some ways, just as far as that smooth transition, right? And kind of did that acceptance factor.
Yeah, acceptance.
And so it sounds like you had to come to Jesus, Mom. Watch how I put this together. Sound like you had to come to Jesus, Mom. Right? Literally. And so with that being said, after that blossomed
10 Toes Behind Jesus.
There we go. So can you talk a little bit about that? And just the children's book, just, in closing.
So I went to 2021, we ended in track. 2022, I kind of already was getting into ministry and stuff, but 2022, I super crazy end up meeting the pastor, the bishop over Mexico in our church organization. He invited me to go to the council in Mexico. I visited a church there. I met a pastor and visited a church there. And he also has another church like 2 hours away from the city in a small town. And he's trying to build it. And he's been building for, at this point, 10 years. When I was there, it was 8 years. But now it's 10 years. And so I just wanted to find a way to try to like help him, reach the goal. Because I really think, I really see the vision and I think it's great. And after thinking of ways to raise money and stuff, God just dropped the idea to sell T-shirts and hats or whatever. And I'm like, okay. The next day, the name came. The next day, do the podcast. And so now I have business and podcast, ministry based. And and then the children's book. So all this stuff is like I knew I wanted my own business one day, but I didn't know what or how. And I never thought I'd write a children's book. But it's just, as God just drops these things, I just pray on it and see if this is really what he wants and if this is when he wants it. And that's where we're at right now. So I'm like, I don't know what's next, but we'll see.
And what is the name of the children's book?
The children's book is named With God, All Things Are Possible. And so it's after like writing the stuff, someone was like, oh, is this about you? And I was like, I guess it kind of is. Like, I didn't really have me in mind, but it's just like the story of it. And I was like, because it was just from my, like, something that I've learned and like noticed. And I was like, well, it kind of is like kind of specific to my story of just putting God first. And once you receive the things that, you may have always wanted, like, don't forget about God, like, still keep him first. Because you don't want him to have to teach you a lesson, which he teaches the character in the book a lesson, but you don't want it to get to that point. You want to go ahead and continue to let him lead and guide you.
Yeah. Brittley, that's beautiful. I'm burning up right now. But guys, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I will link all of you. Do you have a website? We know you got an Instagram. I'll link that in the description. Yeah. Do you have a website by chance?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So we'll link that in the description as well as the book. Where can they purchase the book?
On my website, 10toesbehindjesus.com, and I'm working on getting it on Amazon. Okay. It's been a long process, but I'm still working on it.
Well, guys, this has been another edition. Like I said, be sure to share this around with a friend, a family member. Brittley, thank you for coming back on the show and revealing your story. Beautiful story, guys. Just like that, the Mighty Sports Show.
Bye.